The following program is suitable for general audience of any age. We would like to remind our viewers that the views expressed in this program by our participating guests are solely viewpoints of them who take part and does not reflect the views and beliefs of the Derana Media Network.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Gen XYZ, and today we are going to talk all about beauty standards that exist around the world and in Sri Lanka as well. And to discuss that, today we have an amazing guest with us today. We have Ms Chamanthi Bandara. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, Ms Chamanthi. And she is the fourth runner-up of Miss Universe Sri Lanka 2024, and she also is a marketer by profession. We were actually having a conversation prior to this interview, and she says this whole thing about beauty standards as well, it's about branding yourself, and this is why she's here, because she knows it best. Now, my first question, Ms Chamanthi, I want to know.
Hello.
Yes, thank you.
Hello. Thank you for having me here.
It's great having you as well. It's an honor to be able to interview you. I want to know what prompted you into this field, and was it difficult getting in?
Well, growing up, I always used to get this comment that I was tall and you should model, When you see a tall girl, everyone goes like, you should model. But I didn't take it very seriously. But also, growing up, I used to watch a lot of Hindi movies because my mummy was a big fan. And I was introduced to Aishwarya Rai. And when I discovered internet and when I found out that she was a Miss World winner, that's why I first found out about pageantry. So growing up, I always wanted to come into pageantry, but I also realized Miss World is not the pageant that I resonate with. I wanted to do Miss Universe, but I did Miss Earth, Miss World and Miss Universe, all three. So my first pageant was Miss Earth, and my parents were really supportive of it. And that's how I first came into the pageant world and to the modeling industry. And I'm so grateful that I did not have a lot of struggle going on, because I got introduced to a very good manager and a choreographer who's Gihan Dasanayaka. He was the first one who booked my first big gig. So that was my first thing that I did for Diligence. And that's how I actually came into the industry, and I had things going on, I had work coming up, but I was also a student, so I could not do it full time. But yeah, that's how I became this person.
Yeah. Was it everything you dreamed of, or were there differences?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, I did science for A-levels. Yeah, so you can say that I never dreamed of becoming a model. But when I did my first gig and when I realized that this is something that I belong in, I realized, okay, so why not do it? Because I feel like myself in front of the camera. So maybe during my early 20s, I decided that, okay, this is where I'm going. But growing up, no, never. I wanted to become a pilot.
You had a wide variety of options.
I know. That's what I always tell people, just don't stress about sorting your life, because it just happens when you're living. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then stick to it. No, keep your options open. That's what I did.
Now, when you were young, you said, people used to tell you, oh, you're tall, you should model. Now, the opposite of that also exists, right? Mm-hmm. So for those, the youth really struggles with the image right now. And you said your parents were supportive,
yes,
but there are parents that are not supportive. Yeah. So for the youth who want to get in, but their parents aren't supportive, they've been told certain things in the past, how do they get into this field?
Okay, so with that statement, I have to agree with the parents, because it is quite dangerous to be out here without knowing. You have to have some kind of an idea what's going on, and you have to have that education to balance things. So I feel like the concerns of the parents are quite true, and fair enough. So what I can tell the youth or the young people who want to get into this industry is have proper education before you step in here, and also be really cautious because not everyone is there to do you right. Some people, they just try to get advantage of maybe your personality, just get something out of you. It's there. I'm not gonna lie. It's actually there. So what I want to tell them is be educated about this industry and have someone that you trust, and just go through the credible sources. Don't just go anywhere and do castings and get into things, and it's not like it's the end of the world if you don't make it. Just try it in the right way first. So that's what I have to say.
Yes, and now since you said you had no intention at first, right, to
Yeah.
get into the whole modeling arena, where did you get your education on this topic?
So I was properly trained under the one that I told you about, Gihan Dasanayaka. I'm very grateful for him. And I was in pageants, Miss Earth, Miss World and Miss Universe. And when you are doing a pageant, you are being trained. So I can't call myself just a model because I was getting this education from them, the experts in the industry. So I feel like that's how I knew to manage some things, but I can't tell you that I have been 100% correct in doing things, because sometimes I also go wrong. I also go to people who just wants to do who just want to take advantage, use me, things like this. That has happened to me, but I have felt it and I have saved myself. And also my parents are always there with me, so I make sure that I talk to them about things. So yeah, that's the guidance and that's how I learned. And also when you know that someone is there to support you, just keep that person close to you, because I have that good support system with me. So whenever I have some doubts about something, I go to them, I tell them, so this is happening, what do you think? I feel this, do you feel this too? So if they agree with me, I just take a step back.
So you always go for their advice?
Yes, definitely. I always look up to my mom. So Ammi is very, very close to me. So I just can tell her anything. So I know some young people, they don't have parents close to them, because sometimes parents could be a little too caught up in being too strict, and even we could be a little, things that we do things that parents can't agree with. So it's fair. But luckily, very grateful, my parents are very close to me, even my brother is very close to me.
And, talking about now, since you said, you had no idea of going into this whole thing at the start, what made you do it and why do you still continue to do it?
Well, when I stood in front of the camera for the first time, I knew that there was something inbuilt within me that is going to do well in front of the camera. So I can't say that I was 100% confident from the first day itself, but I grew myself to be confident in front of the camera. And then when I do work, I used to work as a brand manager for luxury perfumes. And when I was working also, I always used to think, even though this is good exposure as a professional, as a marketer for my academics, my heart is there. I should be there. So that's how I felt like I should never quit this. So that's what keeps me going, and I feel more like myself. I feel like I am the most confident self when I'm in front of the camera.
And that's honestly great that you have found that passion, because a lot of people don't find it till late, and some people just don't find it at all.
Yes.
So I'm very happy for you that you found it so early on. And now since you said, you started the whole thing about pageantry, I want you to give us an outlook of what the world of pageantry looks like, and anything that you have experienced personally, just like in general.
So when I talk about pageantry, I have love and hate relationship with pageantry, because that's how I came into this industry. I did Miss Earth, and then I did Miss World and Miss Universe, but it looks so glam, because I remember one time when I was doing Miss Universe, I was talking to my friends. One of my friends were asking me, what are you doing tonight? And then I was like, I have this event. What are you doing tomorrow? I have another event. And then they go like, oh, it must be so fun. I was like, it's not fun. I'm wearing 6.5-inch heels. My hair is done, my makeup is done, and my dress is pricking me from so many places. It's not fun, it's hard work. And then they go like, but it looks so nice when you post all these pictures. It looks so glamorous, but it's not. So that's something that people think about pageants that it's so fun to be there and it's just good exposure, but you get drained. You get drained, and every time I go home, I just sit by myself and then I think, oh my God, what happened today?
You contemplate.
Yeah,
right?
because that's how it is like, because you put up this beautiful smile, you talk to people, and then you have to do it all over again tomorrow, right? So it looks nice, but it's not. It's just draining the life out of you sometimes. But in the end, when you perform in the stage and when you get titled, it's so good to feel like, oh, I did all of that for this. So it is also there. But I wish people knew that pageantry is not all glam. It's just a lot of hard work. You have to be very resilient to like keep up with the pageant for a month. It could be a month, it could be 2 months, because Miss World started on May 16th and the finale was on July 29th. And we were programmed to work very hard for that. The whole time we were just working on ourselves, working on how we talk, working on how we walk, and working on how we present ourselves. And our Beauty the Purpose project. So it's a lot of work, but it looks so nice on the camera, on your phone when you look at it, but it's not.
Yes, and I want to know, because a lot of people have this misconception that, oh, it's not hard work, models just, dress up and exactly, I can see you fuming. But no, I want you to explain to the viewers who maybe still think that even the youth have got it wrong, because they think, oh, you just have to look nice, dress well, but there's a whole process, right?
Yes.
Can you walk us through this process and tell us why this whole misconception is wrong?
Yeah, so first thing is, I remember when we were doing this one show, we were just walking, we had our makeup done and the models were walking, and then one of the presenters there, I think a sponsor or someone like that, came up to us and they were like, would you like to give us a voice clip on how you feel about the event? And we were like, we are working here, just like you're working here, we're also working here. But they feel like, oh, they're pretty girls, they're just walking here and there, they're gonna model and they're gonna go home. It's not. So first thing that I want to tell everyone else is modeling is also a profession. So I think people just feel like it's being on nice clothes and being on high heels and walking. It's not. It's another profession and a person earns from it. So you have to give the same respect that you would give someone else doing their office job. It's a job too. So that's something that I would tell other people. And if I talk about the procedure, I would just say you can't just go and be there, but you have to prepare yourself, and you also have to maintain yourself, not just physically, you have to mentally be there, because sometimes the call time would be 6 a.m. in the morning and the show would start around 7 p.m. in the night, maybe even get postponed till like 10. It happened, right? There was a big pageant that got postponed from 2-3 hours last year. So it happens this year. So that's something that I would tell people. It's not just having fun on the ramp or in front of the camera, it's also a job.
Yes, and I want to dive further into, these myths about these beauty standards that we have set on the youth and the effects that it has on the people, and how, the youth is affected, regardless of gender. Because I feel like girls and boys both have a lot of beauty standards that are set deep-rooted in social norms, especially in a culturally, very cultural country like Sri Lanka. It's a very difficult job to sort of take it out. So, but we will get to that after, we'll get to that during the next few conversations. And I want to also talk a bit about, what we can do to change the mindset of the youth that can trickle down active change. So let's talk a bit about that on the other side. But until then, we'll be heading into a short commercial break. We'll be right back on Gen XYZ. Welcome back to Gen XYZ, and we are here at Keiko Cafe in Nugegoda, and it is a beautiful area. As you can see, there's paintings and this wonderful table here as well, and we have a very special guest with us, Ms Chamanthi Bandara. As we mentioned as we mentioned earlier, she has been the fourth runner-up of Miss Universe 2024, and it's an amazing feat to even get into something like that, let alone get titled, and it's amazing. So thank you so much once again for being a part of the show. Now we spoke about the misconception of what the beauty industry looks like. I want to dive further into the myths that are there, that currently exist in society. What we can do to what's actually the truth, what we can do to break these myths, and how these myths affect the youth.
So, I would just say about myself, right? So, growing up, I used to be a tall girl, just like I mentioned earlier. So, being tall was a problem for so many people when I was growing up, because I was kicked out from dancing classes, saying that, oh, you are so tall for this age, so you can't compete with other people because you'll be taller than the other girls. So, I was very upset. So, I just wanted to tell you, it's neither being tall or short, it's sometimes the way people think, right? It's just so baseless. And sometimes they go like, oh, you have acne in your face, you just can't, you are not hygienic enough, that's why you have acne. So things like that. But sometimes it could be your hormonal imbalance, and you might not be able to control it. So these are things that people think, myths, and sometimes it's just out of your control. So, and also, for guys everywhere, they think being tall is the standard. So, but what can you do if you're not being tall? If you're not tall, you can't grow tall. For some reason, you can't just. I would be taller if I could, so I can't do that either. So what I want to tell you is embrace your whole self, embrace who you are. Like, look at yourself and think, this is me, and the things that I could change to be a better version, you can do it. But if you can't just change some things about you, what can you do? You can just embrace it, and you can grow from it. You can learn how to love yourself that way. So just don't be so harsh on yourself based on someone else's comments, because those comments could be very baseless. Just like I mentioned earlier, for a girl, they say too tall. For a guy, they say not tall enough. But if I was short, they'll be like, oh, why are you, like, you're so short. If you were tall, you would have become a model because you have a pretty face. So these are so baseless. So what I can tell you is, don't think so much into your head, and don't get caught up with it. Don't be harsh on yourself.
And that's honestly, I think, a really good piece of advice for all the young people out there who are watching this right now. And actually, to dive more into that, what are some beauty standards that you think we've set on girls and boys, apart from the height thing? What are the other maybe very niche things that a lot of people don't hear about a lot of the time, especially in rural areas in Sri Lanka?
I know. So for girls, I think they say you should be fair, right? And for boys, they say you should beauty standards. And I think for boys, it's more like their personality, more than being what you see outside. They'll be like, you can't be so emotional, you can't cry because you're a man. So those are the things set on boys more than for the girls, and both are wrong, right? So I feel fair skin and having clear skin, and then being skinny and having a small waist and big hips, I think those are the things, just like you said, very niche, and people always tell you. But honestly, I feel like it's changing, because I used to be very dark growing up, because I used to be in the ground all the time. And growing up only, I got this skin tone. Still, I don't think I'm fair. But I feel like people are embracing it, because I have been approached by some brands and some makeup artists saying that, oh, I like your skin tone, you are not fair like the other models. So I think things are changing, and I honestly have hope now, because people are more towards embracing our culture, because we are known to be dark, because we are coming from a tropical country where we have sun all the time, 24 hours. And I think that's beautiful. And that's something that you can embrace, because being Sri Lankan, growing up in this country and maybe going outside of the country and people just come to you and they say, oh, you have dark skin, where are you from? You're from Sri Lanka. Oh, nice. Because that's unique. That's you. And you are carrying a piece of Sri Lanka with you. Your skin tone could be a part of you that you're taking from your country. So I feel it's so beautiful.
And having more melanin actually means that you get more protection from the sun. So it's actually an advantage. And maybe now, obviously, we know a lot of girls, especially, think a lot about the way they look. We spoke about this on a previous episode. We were talking about gymming and getting in shape and everything as well. Should they care so much about the way they look? Is it a good thing and a bad thing, or both?
I feel like you should care about how you look, right? So I don't say, oh, it doesn't matter how you look on the outside. It does matter to a certain point, but it's like this. If you can fix something that is gonna make you look better and other people gonna perceive you in a better way, why not do it, right? If you can go in a very nice hairstyle and you just choose not to because it doesn't matter what you look on the outside, I think it's stupid. But if you can just present yourself in a nice way, you should do it. You should care about how you look, right? But at the same time, I feel like, imagine there's a scar on your face, right? And then you can't do anything to take it off, and you are just so worried about it. That's something that you should not do, because even that scar is you. That's part of being you. So I feel like things like that, the things that you can't change, you should completely, fully embrace it. And work on how you can present yourself, your inner work, your personality, how you can treat other people well, how kind you can be. So these are the things that you can actually work on.
How do you know what the difference is between being true to yourself and wanting to improve yourself? When it comes to beauty standards, so for example, like you said, the scar, what else? Like, how do you know, oh, people have told me that I don't take care of the way I look physically. Should that person then change the way they look, or what should they do?
So this question that you asked me has a very broad, it's very broad, because
it's a double-edged sword.
Yes. So we'll just take an example, right? So you are not doing getting your eyebrows done, and you're not doing it because you don't want to. Sometimes it could be, I've met people who like their natural eyebrows and then they don't want to pluck it. But sometimes someone would look at you and say, why don't you do your eyebrows? And then you feel bad that you don't do eyebrows and you start plucking your eyebrows. But that's not what you want. And that's not something that matters a lot, because that's how you prefer to keep your eyebrows. So that question has a very, it's very broad. If I say that, I think it explains.
Yes. I wanted to know because people are confused, a lot of information going on, and that's my next question actually, a lot of information on Instagram, new products being introduced, for girls to, like, new insecurities that we didn't even think we had. Like, for example, I remember seeing on Instagram that whole spray that you can put where you can see the hair on your face. Now, it can help you with exfoliating and it being absorbed to your skin more, but that can also, like, be something that a person actually didn't think about before, and they're wasting their money on those insecurities. What do you have to say about that?
That is very true, because I didn't know that I had hip dips. So only when I started using social media, I understood, okay, so that's what I have. And it used to make me feel very insecure in the beginning. But then, okay, so one thing that I always tell other people is that there are models, there are people who has hip dips and then they have embraced it and then they think it's beautiful. So we can either accept it and just support their opinions and make sure that we, imagine it's me, so I can tell other people, okay, so you have hip dips, I have hip dips, but are you worried about it? I'm not worried about it anymore, because it's just the way our structure is. Like, you can't change anything about it unless you do, I think there are exercises, but you can't completely get rid of it. So that's very true, and I was feeling so bad that I have it, and then I learned to look at people who has embraced it and why they have done it, and then I grew out of it. And that's very true that you just mentioned, that people find out things that they didn't even know because of social media. And I think nowadays people are so caught up in those trends and what they have put, the standards, right? So you have to be very careful when you look at a video and what you think about it and what you get out of it. So yeah.
How do you navigate through that? Because there are different people saying different things, and apparently all of them are qualified to have their opinion. And like, you know, popular and very controversial topics like maybe hair, like shaving, you know, and like especially for girls, you know, because it's considered unhygienic to not shave under the armpits or whatever. What do you have to say to that, and how do we navigate through all of these ideologies and get to what's real?
Yeah, so that's where the credible part comes from, right? So that's why I told you before the interview also, if they want to take advice or if they want to listen to what I say, I had to be credible enough. So that's why I told you about the description. So what I have to tell you is just don't look at a person on your screen and just be like, oh, she says this, so I should do this. But think about it, from your perspective. Is it easy for you? Does it feel hygienic for you? And can you do it in a regular basis to like maintain it? So always think about the pros and cons and who's saying this, are they credible, and take more professional advice on it. And what I would definitely tell everyone is, do not rely on social media for mental health advices. That's bad. And also physical health, even everything related to health, just don't look at TikTok and be like, okay, I found this doctor on TikTok and they said this, so I should do this. No, please don't. Go to professional advice, get professional advice for that. But apart from that, if you really want to look at things and learn things from TikTok or social media or anywhere, just get the experience, right? It's just everyone's reality is different. Get the experience and maybe think about it and then only apply and implement.
So you have to be smart about the things that you consume. I think that goes with anything that you consume on the internet. And thank you so much for that answer. And I want to get into, you know, I want to dive deeper into these beauty standards and if they're really healthy or not, and you know what we can do to sort of avoid these things altogether, right? But we'll get more into that right after this commercial break. But you are watching Gen XYZ, and we are currently at the beautiful Keiko Cafe at Nugegoda or Kotava Road. So definitely come visit because they have some amazing scenery where you can take amazing photographs and pictures and amazing food here as well. Like I said, we'll be heading into a short commercial break. You're watching Gen XYZ. Welcome to Gen XYZ, and we are here at Keiko Cafe Nugegoda, and we are here with Ms Chamanthi Bandara, the 4th runner-up of Miss Universe 2024, and once again, very grateful to have you here. But now we spoke about the myths and the misconceptions people have of the beauty industry and the beauty standards that people have set. I want to, get into if it's healthy or not. Now, we spoke about, what's the line, you draw between doing it for yourself, improving yourself, versus not listening to what other people say. I want you to dive further into it and mention like certain beliefs, if it's healthy, certain beliefs, is it not healthy, and why it's not.
Yeah, so I feel like it's not healthy when it damages your self-worth, because maybe you would listen to someone saying that you would have been prettier if you were fairer. It could damage your self-esteem and your self-worth, and if you feel like you're not enough, that's the damage. But if you just think about it and there's nothing that I can do about my skin color and I don't want to do anything about my skin color, and then move on with it, it's okay, because we can't just stop what other people would say. And I don't think it's ever going to be very open in Sri Lanka and very not judgmental in Sri Lanka because that's how our culture is built. So I think it's dangerous and it damages you when you question your self-worth based on your looks or your skin tone or your height or your body shape or anything like that. So that's why it's not healthy. But just like I said, we can't just control what other people say to you, but you should be like smart enough to get what is important to you and what is not. So that's where I think if it's healthy or unhealthy, that's where it comes to the question if it's healthy or unhealthy. When you question your self-worth and your self-esteem is damaged. So yeah.
That's where you should draw the line.
Yes, that's
so
where
for
I should.
example, like you said prior as well, now there are certain things you know for a fact you can't change unless you go through maybe surgery.
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially when you want to be fairer, people bleach their skin, right? Now that you would say is unhealthy, right? And things like, grooming yourself, like cutting your nails, keeping your nails short, or taking care of your hair, taking care of, like how you present yourself, as you said, because you're a marketer as well, you know what it takes to, brand yourself as well. So now we know those are the, healthy sides of beauty standards and the unhealthy sides. And because you worked in the beauty industry and you said it damages, people's self-esteem, what were the effects you saw the youth actively go through? What were these, mental sort of issues that they went through because of these beauty standards set on them?
Yeah, so I could just take myself for an example because I have been in situations where I was rejected because they would say that I'm fat, right? So that's something, so my structure is built very broad and I have broad shoulders and hips and I'm 5'7" tall, and sometimes there are I can never get my waist to be 25 inches, right? It would never happen because that's not realistic and that's not biologically possible. So if I get rejected from a casting because my waist is not 25, and there have been instances where I felt like, oh, I'm not enough, I'm never going to make it in this industry, I'm never going to be a ramp model. But I realized there are places that you can just go and be yourself and be good in ramp walking, and then they would take you and they would not care as much. I mean, I don't say if a client has a certain standard of a model being 5'7", and then we are pushing the client to be like, no, you have to take this model even though she's 5'5" because she has a good walk. That happens very rarely in most of the places, but internationally it's changing. Now there are plus size models, there are short models, there are tall models are anyway, they like it. No? There are extremely skinny models, or there could be models who are considered mid-size. So it's quite changing. And getting back to your question, I am also someone who felt like I was not enough because of these standards and because of some standards that the industry have set, or also growing up, my Ammi is very fair, and I was not fair. I'm still not fair as she is. She's super fair. So I remember people looking at me and her, and they'd be like,
comparing.
they're like, how can you not get her skin tone? So I was feeling so bad because I always used to think, why didn't I get the skin tone? But then I realized I'm my own person. I am a product of my Ammi and Appachi together. I'm my own person. This is my skin tone. You can't expect me to look like her and have her skin tone. So that's something that I felt, feeling like, am I not worthy enough to be as considered pretty as she is considered very pretty. So I was feeling like that, but growing up I realized I'm my own person. I am just their child, and I just don't have to look like her, exactly like her, to get that recognition or get that acknowledgement as being pretty. So
yeah, so is depression and anxiety actively seen in the youth in this who want to get into the beauty industry? Especially let's talk about just youth in general, right? Even if they don't want to get into this industry, these norms are subjected upon us, right? So you would say that depression, anxiety and insecurities are very high, right?
Yes.
What are the other effects?
Yeah, so that is very true, because let's just like you said, we'll just leave the industry, and just think about what happened when I said that my skin tone. So I was feeling very anxious for the longest time, because every time my yummy is getting recognition, she's pretty, she has this nice skin tone, and the next one is me, I'm their next target, and they'll be like, you're not fair as her. Why? So I felt so anxious every time I go into a public setting. I knew that I would get compared. So it didn't go into a level where I got depressed, because my ammi used to defend me, and she used to say, oh, she is her own person, she looks pretty like this. We have different types of beauty. So I could say that I have gone through anxiety, but I can't say that I was depressed because of it. But I have seen people who are very caught up in how they look and think that they can't change, and it just became depression for them. So it results on you being, you're just diminishing your light, because when you think about the things that you can't change, and then it goes up to your mind, and then you get anxious or depressed, and every time you walk into a room, you are very not confident in yourself. So it results you in bad positions. So it's very dangerous, and you should really be careful what you get inside your head.
Yes, and sometimes that's the thing, right? It's a lot to say, oh, you shouldn't take that into your head, but whatever said and done, especially growing up in a culture like this, you're fed these ideas since you're a child. Because if you look, if you ask a child, a girl is supposed to be white, fair, tall, pretty, whatever, right? And a boy is supposed to be even taller, and he's supposed to be manly, you know, and all of that. So I guess whatever said and done, there's going to be something that we obviously can't change.
Yes, that is very true. This is why parents should do their parenting well, and teachers should not judge and classify. So that's something that I really wanted to talk about. So when I was growing up, my dancing teachers especially, right, still to this moment, when I'm just telling you, after this happened around 18 years ago, but still I have that sadness within me, because growing up as a child, it's very hard for you to digest it, right? So I remember my dancing teachers used to categorize, so she's pretty, she's not that pretty, or she's fair, she's not fair, so she should be in the middle, or she should be in the corner. So these are things that I myself went through, and I still can't get rid of. When I still think about it, it hurts me. So this is why parents and teachers should really be cautious on what you say to these young people, your children, because they are going to grow up one day, and they are going to be responsible for the whole country.
And it's going to be a cycle.
It is going to be a cycle, and you would just project this trauma in your children. That's where my ammi and even myself, we broke this. I would never go to a child and be like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, because I have become a person who I would want as a child. So that's when I always tell this, you go through trauma, bad things happen to you, and you have two choices. You either become another trauma to another person, or you can be a safe place. You can be a safe person to someone else. So this is where parents should actually be
Step
active.
Up.
Yes.
And since you are a very open women's mental health advocate, because we're talking about anxiety, depression, real things that people go through, and not only on women's side, right? Because when we're talking about feminism, we think about both men and women. What piece of advice can you give to young girls and boys about the way they feel about how they look?
Okay, so when you tell me that mental health is not a gender norm or gender-based thing, I would tell you this. So this is something that people are not very aware about, but there are specific mental illnesses or mental disorders, I would say, are specified for women.
Yes.
Because the moment they hit puberty, your whole brain, your brain functions, your chemical reactions, they change. And you just, if it's not treated properly, I have read about this, and I have also worked about this for my Miss World Beauty the Purpose. It just happens to be there forever. So it starts with hitting your puberty, and then being anxious, and then being depressed about things, and it develops into long-term anxiety. And then when you go through pregnancy, maybe you get postpartum depression. Maybe during your pregnancy you would have depression, because when you hit that level where your brain starts functioning in a different way, where you hit your adolescence, you have to be really careful of your thoughts and who you surround yourself with and how you take care of yourself. There are so many conditions. I would just sit here and talk about it. There are so many conditions that are very unique to women when it comes to mental health, and I honestly wish that more people knew about it. Luckily, I knew about it because I realized people always say when you're going through your period, they'll be like, oh, this is very normal. This is normal for every woman. You can't be so serious about this and maybe postpone your work. No, it's not that. It's just, yeah, every woman, I know every woman must, they are bleeding.
They cope with it different.
Yeah, they cope with it differently, and it could be biologically something wrong inside your body and you wouldn't even know.
Because everything is put on as it's just your period.
And also I've been told, oh, but she's doing so well on her period, why can't you? It's very different. Because there are illnesses, there are disorders where you can't function normally when you are in your period. So this is why I always highlight it. I'm not being a feminist, but I am highlighting on women's mental health because it goes unnoticed.
Right.
And sometimes it's even out of your control. So when it comes to men, I feel like the biggest problem in Sri Lanka and maybe Asian countries, what men have is not being emotional. But I think it's changing to a certain level. These are the good sides of social media, because sometimes people look at social media.
There's a lot of awareness.
Yeah, there's a lot of awareness, and I've seen models and some influencers talk about mental health, men's mental health, and I should say that I was lucky enough to grow in an environment where I was embraced. Like my Ammi used to take us to therapy even when she felt like we were going in a bad direction. Even my brother could cry at my home anytime, and no one would make fun of him, or no one would say, "Oh, you're a man. Why would you cry?" So I feel like it's happening, but still there are improvement.
Obviously,
Yes,
as usual.
yeah.
Anything else before we end today's program? Anything else you want to say? Relating to beauty standards, the youth, mental health, whatever it is, advice maybe, whatever.
So I would just say, when you go and look at yourself in the mirror, you would see yourself, and there could be chances that you could improve, and there won't be chances that you couldn't improve. But whatever it is, you just embrace yourself, because that's you, that's the body that you got to live in this life, and work on yourself, be confident and build resilience, and also study about things and get exposed, talk to people. Yes, talk to people and do your networking, because I feel like the best quality that I had developed through my life, from my early 20s to my mid 20s, I feel like it's the ability to talk to someone and get to know them and have them around you, like as a network. So I always tell, whenever I can, just get yourself out there. Don't hold yourself, just be yourself, take up space, and that's how you can experience. And don't just get caught up in one thing. Be open to options.
And be true to yourself.
Definitely.
And thank you so much, Ms Chamanthi, for being a part of the show. It was truly an honor to have you and your opinions as well, because I think it's going to actually go to, the people, the youth that really
Hopefully.
need it. Yes. And once again, before I end, we are at the beautiful Cafe Keku at Nugegoda, Old Kotava Road. So you can definitely check it out. We have the amazing aesthetic and the vibes as well, and the great food. And we also do appreciate your feedback. So send in your feedback at feedback.adncenglish@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. But until then, we'll see you next week, same time, same place on Gen XYZ.
Because you can't stop your diet, baby, you don't have to slim down. Slim down. I love your curves, and believe me, it is every pound. Every pound. Stop your diet, come on, do it for me. Do it for me. I love you round, 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 'cause you're so sexy. Oh, yes, she is. She tastes like cola. Sweet, sweet sugar cola. When I took a sip